I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not trying to gotcha you. I work out exactly what you
I
actually
understand
think.
with massive fame comes massive responsibility. I understand that a percentage of the population are always going to take everything that's said by anybody out of context.
I'm not trying to gotcha you. You said no, that a lie detector test determined that was a lie. That's hilarious. I'm not trying to gotcha you. Literally, content nowadays that these guys do is you interview them for an hour or two. You take these little 30-second clips and you gotcha them. Like, what are you talking about? Of course you're trying to gotcha him. Like, wow, Piers. But you're totally not a leftist. You're totally not supporting womanists. You're not on either side. Yeah, okay.
Would you change the wording of what you said?
No, I would just encourage people to watch my long format copy and understand it
Would
fully.
you tell an 18-year-old boy you don't have authority over women?
Absolutely.
You would say that?
Unless a woman comes to him and says, you're responsible for my safety, please make sure keep me safe. Like
I
my
see.
woman
Now
says,
that
comes to
Andrew
me.
Tate, I can sign up to.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't agree with what you said before.
Because you're taking a soundbite from a 2-hour
yeah, but
conversation.
you haven't been taken out of context because I read you the entire sentence. It's very.
But you've
debatible.
ignored all the context around the sentence, my friend.
You can't ignore a sentence that says I must have a degree.
Yes, you can. Again, if you're speaking in a paragraph, they take one sentence of a paragraph and say, you said this. It's like, okay, yes, I said that. But the 4 other sentences I said around that sentence mean that I didn't actually say that. I said that in the context of a greater context, and it means something slightly different than what I said. So why are you trying to gotcha me by saying that, Piers?
Authority.
But you can when there's a 2-hour conversation where a woman is telling me if she makes me responsible for her safety, and me explaining, well, if I'm responsible for your safety, I have the authority to make decisions. So yes, you've ignored all the context.
Do you respect women?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Do you think that 18, 19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-old women?
Oh, look, he's changing the conversation. Here we go.
I think there's attractive people. That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Well, it's not really, is it?
I can't.
You know why I'm asking it?
Of course I do, but I can't sit here and
for
say.
the benefit of viewers who don't know why I'm asking, you said this. In general, this is also one of the reasons men find youth attractive. You want to blow up the internet? I'll blow up the internet right effing now. The reason 18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less dick. People say, oh, you can't say that, but yes, I can. A 19-year-old is more attractive than a 26-year-old woman, and I'll tell you why. Because that 26-year-old has talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments, more mess, more for me to clean up. That is misogyny.
Why?
No, it's not. That is not being against women. That is biological reality. Men are more attracted to younger women than older women. If you ask the population of 1,000 men the age of women that they're attracted to, all of them will, well, not all, but let's say 98% of them will say that they're most attracted to girls in the age range of 18 to 23, centered mostly on women that are 22, and this is regardless of age, whereas women are attracted to men that are about 3 years older than them, maximally. So that is biological fact. That is an inarguable fact. And you know why? The reason why men prefer younger women is not just because she has a greater chance of having been alpha widowed, and she has more baggage, although that is true in 2022. The reason why is this: women who are younger are more likely to have to not have any partners at all. And what that means is your paternity is all but assured. And because we as men, we don't know if the child is ours. I mean, we do now because of, biological testing, but we didn't before. So our evolutionary ancestors, our ancestors, they wanted to be sure that they were with a woman who the children that they had with that woman were theirs and not some other guy. And so that's why men prefer younger women. And also, there's an even greater window to have children with that girl if you have a girl who's younger, right? So a girl who's 18, you have literally how long between her and like 18 and 26? 8 years. You have an 8-year window where you can have children with her that a 26-year-old doesn't have, right? Because women's fertility is maximum at its peak between 18 and 23, and it goes down starting at 18. but it's still quite high until the age of about 37, where it drops precipitously. But it drops from 18 then, right? So it's like steady drop, steady drop, steady drop, sharp drop at 37, right? So a man would prefer a 26-year-old just out of biological reproductive reality. And it's not just in our species, it's in all animal species, like not at all, sorry, in mammals in general. Hello and welcome. It's the heliosblog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. If you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit the sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me further, I have a Patreon with exclusive content. It's patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just go there and subscribe to any tier. Any level of support is appreciated. Let's continue.
Because you are encouraging a mindset about 25-year-old women that makes them sound out to be infinitely less desirable than 18, 19-year-olds.
They are less desirable. Not infinitely less. Infinitely is called hyperbole. You're exaggerating. But it's true. A 26-year-old girl is less attractive than an 18-year-old girl, all things considered.
And having effectively been having too much sex to be taken in a
True.
more respectful way.
That would, well, firstly, even if that was the case, that wouldn't be misogyny.
But what did you mean by what you said?
That's not misogyny because it's not anti-women. I'm saying
That's
that
right.
an 18 or a 19-year-old woman would be more desirable.
Pretty anti-25-year-old woman.
Okay, so that's called, if anything, that's called ageism, right? But women do ageism too, so it's not saying much. But it's not against women to say that 26-year-olds are more attractive than 18-year-olds. 26-year-olds are less attractive than 18-year-olds. That is a biological fact. If you don't believe me, you can just Google. You can just Google the psychological study that refers to that exact thing. It's actually not something that I came up with, even though it is true. And in fact, Piers, if you had a choice between an 18-year-old and a 26-year-old, and both are equally attractive, both are very, very attractive women, which would you pick? And if I asked another 1,000 people who weren't shilling for the liberal leftist cause, if I asked them the question, they would say the same thing, that they prefer the younger woman over the older woman.
Anti-25-year-old women, we can argue, but not misogyny.
It's also why men don't want to date geriatric pregnancy women, right, who are 38 plus. The reason they don't want to date geriatric pregnancy women is because you're very unlikely to have children with them. So what's the point of marrying them? If marriage is about children and family, there is literally zero point in marrying a girl that can't have your children. So that's why women that are older are less desirable than women that are younger.
Well, that's misogyny then.
No, it's
not. Well, being anti any woman at all is misogyny.
What? No, Piers. No, Piers. You cannot say that. What? Being against any woman at all is what? Okay, how about felons? How about girls that did unspeakable things to their children? What about the women that are like have certain psychological disorders that make them like cancerous and impossible to deal with, like like Amber Heard? Are you saying that all women are above reproach, Piers? No, you can't say that. That is not what being against women is. Being against women is saying that all women are bad. And no one with a brain, with two brain cells between their ears, would say that all women are bad. No, not all are bad. But it is without question that some are bad. Without question. And that we need to point it out to men, that women aren't sugar spice and everything nice, and there are many women that can hurt you and that are bad for reproductive, paternity certainty, they're bad for relationships, they're bad to deal with, they're unpleasant, etc., is not being against women. That is simply being judicious and intelligent in your choices. So no, you're wrong. No. Being against any woman at all is... wow. I can't believe that a educated person would make a point like that. It's frankly, it's embarrassing.
Not when I'm saying that women are beautiful and attractive at a certain age and saying the age.
You're saying 18, 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25.
Well, than ageist perhaps, but misogynistic absolutely
Is that
not.
But you just accepted it was misogyny.
No, I didn't. You said it was misogyny. I'm telling you, no, it's not.
So you don't think if you're saying slightly hateful things about a 25.
That's not
Slightly hate. It's not hateful to say the truth. What? Okay, so is it hateful then for me to say that the Earth orbits around the sun? Piers, what you're saying is this: bad man, infidel, you dare to say that any woman can be unattractive compared to another woman? How dare you? How dare you not say that the sun orbits around the earth? Infidel, you're going against my religion. Stone the guy. Drink your poison, Socrates. Bad man. Bad man. You're corrupting the youth, Socrates. Like, what a ridiculous argument, Piers. Unbelievable.
slightly hateful.
Well, it is. You think you'd say that to a woman's face if she's 25?
It's not slightly hateful. When
So you would go up to a 25-year-old woman and tell her exactly what I've just read out.
Why would...
There's no need to go and insult a girl to her face. It's cruel even to go to a 40-year-old woman and tell her that she's less attractive than a 20-year-old woman. But she knows it. Which is why the girls get so upset when guys aren't picking them, because they know that the younger options are the ones that they're picking, because they know that they're less desirable than those options. And they regret that they're losing the battle to women that have more options. Like, women know it themselves. But pointing it out is cruel. But men need to know. Because men are taught from a young age, they're brainwashed. Women are sugar spice and anything nice. Just take whatever from women. Just do whatever women say. Just support all women. Believe all women. Everything that women say is above reproach, just like you're saying. And it's utterly ridiculous hogwash. Piers.
Would I walk up to a random 25-year-old
Because you said it
woman
in public
and
on
say
the
that?
internet, and it's been listened to and watched by millions and millions of young,
Correct.
impressionable boys.
Correct. There was a large panel. There was a conversation. There was hours long of conversation. There were feminists attacking men for toxic masculinity and attacking me and saying things. And I said things back which were going to antagonize
But I think,
them. Which you've done yourself a bunch of times.
I think a lot of allegations of toxic masculinity are not toxic.
Correct.
Oh my God. But you're not a leftist. But you're not a womanist, Piers. But he holds this belief, right? Yeah. Right. Like, if women are calling men out for being toxic, believe all women and trash like that. Excuse me, Piers? Like, what planet are you living on, Piers? What's wrong with you? Like...
I do think that kind of sentence that I just read out, that paragraph, is actually toxic. If you genuinely mean that, and you say you wouldn't say it to a woman's face, but you said it in public about women of that age, I do think that's misogynist. And I think you probably do too.
What? No, I'm sure Andrew would say this, but let me not put words in his mouth. But okay. It is not misogynistic to tell the truth. It is not against women to tell the truth. In fact, it is for women, because women also need to know the truth. If you know as a girl that at 30 you're less attractive than a girl at 20, you're much more likely to look for a marriage at 20 than at 30. If you're taught you're strong, independent, you don't need no man, you're the best, you're beautiful at any size, beautiful at any age, valuable at any age, attractive at any age, if you're taught that, then you tend to believe that you have time. And if you tend to believe you have time, then you waste it. And if you waste it, you destroy your own life. So no, Piers. No, Piers. The truth is important for a reason. We can't be out here telling lies and expect people to end up with good lives.
Misogynistic. I understand why it can be insulting.
So you wouldn't say it to a woman's face?
Well, it depends. You're making out like I'm walking around the street going up to random 25-year-olds.
Well, effectively, you're doing it to tens of millions of people online. There's no difference.
Not at all. We're discussing a topic. We were discussing the ideal age of a man.
Should young boys, right, in their teens,
here we go
are
again,
you comfortable that they would have that mindset?
Look at Andrew's reaction. He's like, I can't believe, Piers, that you're being so unreasonable. You're just being an asshole at this point. That's what he's doing. Like, would young boys, impressionable young boys should know that 18-year-olds are more attractive than 26-year-olds as well. Like, they should know it too. That there are different values to these. Like again, why is it important to know this? Because if you choose a 40-year-old woman to marry and try to have children with, you're not going to be able to have children with her. If you choose a 35-year-old, same thing. You need to start having children at a younger age, not for the man, but for the woman. So men need to know. And they also need to know that they're not toxic for believing this and for acting on that. Because if they do think that it's toxic to, prefer an 18-year-old to a 26-year-old, then the man's life is destroyed as well. Because, again, his paternity is not assured because he's with a partner that's suboptimal for him. So if you're telling lies like this, what you're doing is you're making it so that women can achieve their biological strategy, but not men. And effectively, what you're doing as a result is you're ruining the lives of millions of men. So, no, you cannot hold this belief, Piers. It's very destructive.
Be honest.
I think that young boys in their teens lack life experience.
Agreed.
They lack nuance.
Yes.
And they need to be very, very careful what they're digesting online, whether it's
Agreed.
my content or anybody else.
Which is why TikTok is terrible. As I said, I think 2 videos ago I said it. How can you possibly believe that a 30-second clip is what you should be learning from? How can you possibly believe that? You should be watching long-form content if you're watching any content at all. You should be reading books. You should be it's just absurd to me that people could believe that you can get the truth out of 30 seconds. There is no way you can capture all the nuances listening to something for 30 seconds. Impossible. And if you're listening to just 30-second clip, followed by 30-second clip, followed by 30-second clip, you're going to start becoming a sheep because you're going to believe anything that anyone says because 30 seconds is not a long time. So you're going to have a very rigid and like a very black and white view of reality if you're watching content that's that short. Again, I believe that TikTok and social media in general, but especially short form content, is one of the most destructive things that humanity has ever created. It's a mind virus that actually destroys you. Don't watch TikTok. Don't watch these short Instagram videos. Don't watch YouTube shorts. Don't do it. It's very bad for you. I would never recommend a person do it. And that's why I don't have any YouTube shorts, by the way. I think it's destructive for the male brain, for the female brain too, to watch it. So.
Else's.
I think for a fact millions of them are digesting exactly what you're saying.
Completely. The entire internet, to a degree. I think any subject you can find, there's going to be a whole heap of content.
I come back to the Joe Rogan thing, Andrew. Is that a lot of what you say I agree with?
Yeah.
Right. I do genuinely. I've read a lot. I've written a lot of stuff.
I mean, guys, if we were to do like a game where we were to do something every time that, let's say we were to put 10 cents in a pot every time that Piers interrupted Andrew, how much money do you think we'd have now? $10? He's interrupted him at least 100 times. He doesn't want him to get out any full points. He just wants to pillory the guy and get out. And it looks to me like he's struggling. He's not able to actually pillory the guy. And he's just looking unreasonable.
Stuff you said. A lot of the stuff you talk about, I think, he's got a good point, right? So we agree about a lot of things. But when I read that kind of thing, I'm like, how much of that is you? How much of that is some act? Do you regret saying stuff like this?
I don't.
And actually, do you see it as weakness?
Again, it's like Piers is just calling out Andrew. Bad man. Don't say stuff like that. Don't you know that you're against women for saying stuff like that? Why don't you join our side, Andrew? Will you apologize? Will you come to Jesus, Andrew? Will you be the prodigal son, Andrew? Will you come back to your family, the womanists? No. Because what you guys talk about is bullshit lies that destroy the lives of men and women and destroy Western society. We can't be talking like this and like have a good time in society. Leftist shill Piers Morgan.
To admit you shouldn't have said something like that.
No, I don't live with regret. I think what's happened is that, like I said, long format content, arguments with feminists, arguments with the toxic masculine crowd, arguments with the left, and they're going to take a small clip, small sentence from ours, and they're going to try and paint me as a villain.
But I'm not left or right.
Oh my god, it's the funniest thing that Piers has said in the last 3 episodes. I'm not left or right. Being against any woman, anywhere, is and then he says he's not a leftist. Hilarious, guys. You cannot make this shit up. Look at Andrew's face. Even he's surprised to see that shit. Oh my god, guys. Sorry. Oh man. Okay. Let's continue.
I don't know what you are, Piers.
Exactly.
I don't know what you are.
No, but that's my point.
And I understand. And you're doing
Oh,
exactly as I knew would
my.
happen on this interview, which is because you're a busy man. You're not going to watch hours and hours and hours of video.
Actually, I have watched hours and hours of video, and I'm going to come to the stuff where I agree with you, and I'm going to come to the stuff about your censorship, which
Sure.
I have issues with. So this is, it's a long interview, right?
Sure.
I just thought off the top, you said to me, and you were quite bold about it. Well, go on, then let's go through these.
And you should keep going. I will sit here and stand by what I said. I believe that
on
man.
that, I just read to you then.
Yeah.
Do you wish you hadn't said that?
No.
I understand how it's been misconstrued. I understand how it's been weaponized against me. Do I regret it because it's been weaponized and used against me? Well, that's slightly annoying.
That's not why I want you to
Did I
regret
at the time mean what I said in
Yes.
the context of the conversation, which obviously you're not familiar with and the people at home are not familiar with? No, I meant what I said.
The 25-year-old women, they've just talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments,
Yeah.
more mess, more for me.
Oh,
to
yeah.
clean up.
Well, there's a whole bunch of context and conversation around that's been missed, and I
I don't
encourage.
think I'm missing much context.
Well,
It's pretty-
I encourage people who are interested to go watch it.
Right, but I mean, I've just read out 3 sentences.
That's 3 sentences out of a 2-hour conversation. Even. And it's actually true, too. That's the funny part. Piers. I mean, I wonder if he asked this question, right? Okay, oh, I have the point. I totally forgot this point. Okay, guys, want to hear the full irony? Okay, so firstly he said that he's not a leftist, right? Are you ready, guys? Piers Morgan's own wife is 10 years younger than him. So... So Piers, by his own belief set, prefers younger women, which is exactly what Andrew said. So again, like Piers again is just saying garbage that he doesn't even believe in for money. That's the truth there. Hilarious.
On the bounce there. I don't think there's any context I'm missing. I mean, you've made it pretty clear what you think about the difference between 18 and 90-year-old women.
I wasn't
and
talking about
26-year-olds.
myself, even. I was talking with a Muslim guy who was on the panel, and he was explaining how youth is very valued in most parts of the world, and why virginity is valued in most parts of the world. The feminists were arguing against it, and I was sitting there, actually very much like you, a mediator between the two, explaining why in most of the world still today, perhaps not in the Western world, virginity is coveted, youth is coveted in most of the world, and throughout all of human history. And I was sitting there making the point, explaining why in certain parts of the world they think how they do,
Well, in large parts of the world-
even though it's very different to the Western world. So I was making a point, mediating between two groups very similar to yourself. The conversation has been misunderstood. They've taken this clip of it, and it's being weaponized and used against me. I understand that is because I am now the most famous Google person on the planet. It's inconvenient, sure. But I'm definitely not a danger to women in any regard. I date women 25, 26, 27 years old all the time. None of them are offended by the things
I don't
say.
think you're a danger to women.
Of
I think
course not.
I think the danger, if it concerns you, the danger is the influence you have on young men to have this kind of mindset about women. And that's really where I'm trying to get to what you really believe and how much you've just shot off because you think it's like entertaining and you haven't really given it much thought. And whether now you're a bit older and you've had all the fallout, whether part of you is thinking, actually, if I had, as Joe Rogan says, if you hadn't said stuff like this, you'd probably still be on all these platforms.
Okay, but this is like the prodigal son garbage, right? Come back to Jesus, you know? Like, you've been a bad boy, but won't you say sorry and like, you know, repent? No, because what I said is the truth, and I'm sticking by the truth. Because the truth is the truth, and the earth orbits around the sun. And if you want me to drink the poison, then God damn it, I'll drink the poison. Because you know what? I believe in what I said. That's what Socrates did, by the way. That's a beautiful story. And who is remembered 2,000 years later? Galileo, Copernicus, Socrates, and not people like Piers Morgan.
You'd be massively more popular, massively more famous, massively richer. So I'm really just trying to get to, on the blatantly misogynist stuff, do you just wish you hadn't said it?
With great power comes great
He is not a blatant against woman person. He is just not.
responsibility. It was certainly said before the great power came. It's inconvenient to a degree. However, like I said at the time, with the context of the conversation, I know that I'm not saying things which I believe to be detrimental to the world. However, they've been misconstrued and they've been misunderstood.
If a 25-year-old woman was watching this, would you say, I'm sorry for saying that?
No.
Well, I wouldn't want anyone to be offended by anything I say, but I say things. But I say things that offend, and this is the thing that's interesting, Piers. Please let me finish.
Yeah, but you're behaving like a politician. Yeah, but hang on. You could say I'm interrupting.
Here we go again. Here we go again. But I'm not a leftist. Telling the truth may offend you, but the truth is the truth regardless of how it makes you feel. And I don't regret telling the truth. Piers, you are married to a woman who is 10 years younger than you. You even know the truth. And if you don't think that that influenced your decision to marry that girl, well, I mean, then you're hilariously ignorant of biological reality and you should read some books, Piers. Instead of just listening to what the shills tell you to say, to what the leftists tell you to say that own you and that you shill for.
You do.
But you're answering a different question to the one I asked you. So, as an interviewer, you're
Sure. Okay.
you're
Sure.
behaving.
Sure. Okay. Let's. Sure.
Okay, you accept that. Let's accept we both got on. Okay. So again, my point is simply, if a 26-year-old woman is watching this and has heard those comments,
Yeah.
would you just say to her, "Look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that."
No, I won't. I will
Indeed. Thank you, Andrew. Good job.
say that I am sorry that offends you.
Exactly. Although you don't have to apologize because the truth is the truth. Anyway, we're going to end part 3 there. Again, new to the channel, liking the content, hit the sub, hit all for notifications. Go to my Patreon. It's the Helios blog at, realheliosblog.com. Oh, man. I'm trying to end the video and saying other stuff. That's my website. No, go to patreon.com/theheliosblog. Subscribe to any tier. Get out of here.